All right, y'all. What's up? This is another one of my YouTube blogs. Well, it's actually a message going to one of my favorite current YouTubers. The last couple of days, you've been kicking my ass, brother. And I don't know your name. All I know is the name of your channel is called Lost in the Pond. So I'm sending this one out to you. Look, I'm really interested in, like, there's a lot of people, like, from Europe and especially Britain that are coming out with channels that are, like, all things that are all different and from America and Britain. And for some reason, I'm a sucker for that, like, whole subject, like, the little subtle nuances between America and Britain really gets me. And not just Britain, like, there's ones that come from China, Korea, differences that Korean girls eat barbecue for the first time, that type of shit. I love all that stuff. But for some reason lately, I've been really getting into you, and the reason you're different is because almost everyone else, like, they travel to the United States, or they live in their home country, but they really want to get to the United States. And it makes me wonder, like, how much of the world. I thought that everyone hates America. You know what I mean? Like, everyone thinks we're a bunch of douchebags outside of America. Like, we think we're great, and then, we toot our own horn all the time, and then everyone else is like, they invented everything. Yeah, they're so great, whatever. They can't even get their shit together. They have Trump for a president, and George Bush running shit, and we are. There's a lot of things. I'm American to the bone, man. I'm the hot-blooded, red, white, and blue-blooded American, but, like, there's a lot of shit we suck in that we refuse to admit that we suck in, and we need to admit that we suck in it. But anyway, you're one of the, you have come here, you've lived here, you're different because you actually took the plunge and became an American, and I applaud you for that. And God love you. It's rare that happens. I've never seen anybody do that. I always get the feeling that, like, people say they love America, but then they get here and then they don't love it, or they don't really, they're just half-assing about it. Like, you actually did make the move. It seems like you've married, or your girlfriend or your wifey or whoever that is, that's with you on your videos, is American. And again, I love your shows. I love what you're saying. There's silly little things, things that are different in America. My favorite show so far was the one on geography, the one where you were like, Michigan's west of what's almost, you have to go south to hit Wisconsin, and there's 8 states. I knew the 2 states that are surrounded by 8 other states. I knew that they shoved that down our throats here in grade school, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't know in that video, and I'm surprised you didn't say that. And you did so much about Michigan, you didn't mention that there's parts of Michigan where you have to go south to hit Canada. That's fucking crazy, but. Anyway, I want to say props to you for repping the USA. Me, myself, I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I'm one of the few Americans that, like, I know my shit about history. I'm a big history buff. And because of that, I am, like, and I'm going to get into the difference here, but I'm both an Anglophile and a Celtophile, okay? And the reason for the Anglophileness is because I know history, and I have long since faced reality. Like, the British really are a fucking great people, an intelligent, democratic, forward-thinking people that have brought us a lot of what we claim that they didn't, number one. And number two, we sprung from them. They had an empire that the sun never set on, that stretched around the world. The whole world plays soccer and fucking speaks English. So the English did something right. And out of all the jewels in their crown, Australia, South Africa, Jamaica, India, China, Canada, New Zealand, we're the best. We're the biggest jewel, the greatest child of the USA, of Britain, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm an asshole for saying that. But a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand, why so many Americans, and especially, it's not so much Brits, but it's Irish and Scottish people, especially Irish people, like they don't understand why so many Americans claim Irish descent and claim Scottish descent. And hardly anyone in America claims British descent, and I think that has something to do with the War of 1812. And like just the years between the 1770s and like the 1830s, when America and Britain had beef. Like, I think it has something to do with that. But Anyway, Americans, the longer you stay in America, the more you lose your identity from whatever mother parent country you came from. And then you realize, like, pretty much you're just American, and that doesn't really mean as much as it means once you are that. And people struggle with, what am I really, or what was I before? America's only 250 years old, so what was I before that? You know what I mean? How far back does my history go? So a lot of people, and myself is one of them, my claim to Irish, to any Celtic blood is flimsy. I'm mostly German, and I probably means that look at my freaking head. My ancestors got raped by Jews or something. Or people think I'm Italian. People think I'm Mediterranean. I'm not. I'm mostly German and Celtic. I have Welsh ancestry that comes from. I live in Pennsylvania, so I have like direct ancestors that came with William Penn straight from the fucking banana boat. But most of my ancestors, in every which direction you go, are what's called Pennsylvania Dutch, which really means Pennsylvania German. The only real claim I have, I have Welsh blood. I think I have a little bit of Scottish blood in there, and I definitely have some Irish blood, but again, it's not a whole lot of it. So, but for some reason, I consider myself a Celt, and it's an identity thing. It's just, when I read the descriptions of Germans, hardworking, dedicated, hard fighters, sticks in the mud, scientific, that doesn't read like me. When I read about like descriptions of Celtic people, drunk, really into poetry, oversexed, can't seem to like get their shit together and get themselves out of the pub, will spend all their earnings to hire a poet to come to their house to entertain them. Yeah, that's the type of dumb shit that I do, and the Irish, or at least Celts, do in general. And anyway, without getting too far into that, I'm a history buff, and I know, but unlike most Americans, I can talk to you all day in history. I really wish we could communicate. I hope you holler back at me, and if you don't, I still love your channel either way, and I know you have thousands. Like, I have my own YouTube channel. Today I got my 49th subscriber. You have like 120,000. I don't know how the fuck all these people do that. Like, y'all getting 120,000 viewers talking about what you ate for dinner and shit like that. I'm singing, rapping, doing comedy. I have a band. I'm a gangster. I'm a pretty interesting dude. And on top of that, I have a history show. Yeah, the gangster part is not a joke, dude. I'm really in trouble, like, a lot with the law, and I have very tattered history. Like, I literally am a gangbanger, and I literally am a thug, and all that shit. But I'm one of your biggest fans, and I am a rapper. First and foremost, I'm an MC. And if you check out my channel, it's called The World According to ROMANTZ. ROMANTZ is spelled ROMANT, like Tom Z, like zebra. You might see some of my musical shit. You might see some of my history shows. It's all chock full. You might see some of my comedy. It's all in there. So if you care to take a goosey gander at my wimpy little page, and if you want to hit me and maybe tell me some secrets on how to fucking build a YouTube page, I don't even have access to a computer. This ghetto ass phone is all I got right now. I'm really broke. I'm really poor. I was in jail a couple of years ago. It's been 3 years now that I've been out, and I'm still like as naked as the day I was born as when I walked the fuck out of that jail. Alright, so I made a couple lists for you, not necessarily ideas for shows, but just me bouncing ideas back off of what I've seen for you. As far as history goes, there was a few things that I wanted to ask you about British history. Alright, now, I've already watched another channel of British people that seemed like whenever I hear a British accent, it seems to me like, wow, they're so smart, they're so intelligent. Like, bums and like dropouts of high school in Britain sound so much more intelligent than even doctors and lawyers here in America. And I'm definitely somebody that I consider myself an intelligent person. Most people who know me would say I'm intelligent, but I sound like fucking Rocky. You know what I mean? I talk like I'm from Brooklyn. I can't stop it. That's just the way I am. I think there's a reason for that, and I think I know that reason. The English, in England, you went through the Enlightenment period, you know what I mean? You went through the Age of Reason, and then the Enlightenment, and then after that, there was, like, the Victorian age, the Victorian values that were put upon you to be. There's something about being British as being, there is something that it seems to be well-mannered and to be polite and to not be loud and to not be vulgar. Like, somehow when America was forming, it was just the opposite. It was this one, come all, rough and tumble. The more guttural you can sound, the more American you seem somehow. So when I hear British people speaking, I think they know their shit. But I saw this channel where, like, these two people, good looking, seemingly intelligent, had no idea. Somebody asked them what happened on July 4th of 1776. They didn't have the slightest clue. Are you kidding me? Did they not teach you that in Britain? They should. Okay, it's a pretty fucking important date. I know maybe they don't teach it to you because it's shameful that you, like, lost. That's when the Revolutionary War began, and it doesn't seem like they don't. Either the Revolutionary War didn't happen, or they're not teaching it in Britain. They jam it down our throats here, and it seems like y'all are fucking ignorant on that war. Now, you did have other wars going on at that time, but, like, are we that insignificant in British history that y'all don't even know when America started? Really? I'm just wondering if that was just the selected people from England that I have seen, and maybe I just got a bad batch of Englishmen that don't know their shit, or if they really don't teach you that stuff, like in Britain. That's not cool, man. All right, another thing that I notice about English history, British history, there's a big deal. Now, I'm a Plantagenet nut, okay? Like, I know about all the royal families, and I love the older the better. You know, the William the Conqueror, like, the guy was like a fiend, a macho Viking barbarian type guy, and his descendants were the same way. You know, when they started ruling England. Now, history likes to remember Richard the Lionheart. You know what I mean? And I'm a sucker for that whole clan too. Eleanor of Aquitaine, King John I, the bad guy in Robin Hood. Coeur de Leon, you know, you gotta love him. He would kick the ass in the Crusades, and history paints him as very heroic, and somehow the quintessential maybe Englishman somehow or something like that. In reality, dude was like not as manly as he was. I'm pretty sure he was into men. He was gay. And then on top of it, like, he didn't speak English, and he would have sold London if he could only find someone to buy it. And I think out of the 10 years that he reigned, he might have spent like 6 months or 8 months or some shit like that in England. He was never really there. But his dad, Henry II, was kind of like that's an English king right there. He kind of like he was like the Godfather. Like, he started his own little clan type shit. And one of the biggest parts of history, all right, one of the biggest parts of British history, seems a very important part, seems to be this Becket versus Henry II. And I just never get that. Okay, dude thought he was going to promote somebody who turned on him. I guess it's somehow like he was Henry VIII before Henry VIII. He was the prequel to Henry VIII. I don't know. Maybe if you can, just a little explanation on that one. Why is that so important? Another thing I don't understand is Richard II. Why was he so important? The English place almost more importance on him than on Richard III. And I think, isn't Richard III, like, wasn't he the end of the Plantagenets? Wasn't he the end of the War of Roses? There's some things, and maybe you don't know this stuff. Maybe you're not a history buff. You don't have to answer this. But anyway, if you don't mind, though, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. And one of them is, who was your favorite monarch? Of course, like I said, I'm a big Henry II guy. I'm a Coeur de Leon guy. I'm a sucker for the Tudors. Who doesn't love a Tudor story? But the more I find it, they were so regal, and it was the Renaissance, and the clothes they wear and their hairstyles, it was the most extravagant at that point. But the more I delve into the Tudors, both Elizabeth and Henry VIII, and all the other minor Tudors that there were, there were some ruthless motherfuckers, the Tudors. They didn't play, man. Holy smokes. The other thing I want to talk about is accents. I have seen other shows on this. I don't know if you have one now, and I'm going to also touch on a little geography. Like now, as an American, okay, in my mind, when I think of Britain, I kind of think as London, kind of in the south central, just to the east, a tad in Britain. All right, and I know the southeast corner of Britain is where Dover and the White Cliffs are, and Kent, I think, is down there. To the south, directly to the south, I know there's the Isle of Wight. And then to the southwest is Cornwall, and that's one of the accents I know of. It's Cornish, but that's more of a Celtic accent. I know of Cockney, all right, because I'm a big, huge Sex Pistols fan. I watched, there was once a movie that they made called The Filth and the Fury. It appeared on British Channel 4. No idea what Channel 1, 2, 3, or 5, or 6, but I know about Channel 4. I've actually heard of Channel 1 as well. I always wondered, I would love to watch TV in Britain just to see what it's like. I've always wondered. And a lot of things, like you said that you used to watch wrestling, and you'd wonder, like, you know, each different city, Memphis, Tennessee, and Detroit, Michigan, like that somehow, like, clicked in your mind. I commented on that post, and I said, you know, that's how my mind works, too. You know, I think of that way. And, well, and then, all right, so other now I know there's a Northumbrian, and I imagine there's a Northumbrian accent. And I know of a Liverpudlian accent because I know of the Beatles. It almost seems like Liverpudlian accents are like a mixture of like British and maybe like a little touch of like a Scottish or an Irish, like a Celtic accent. Hey, Paul, let's steal all Clarence's music and keep it for ourselves. I really want to hear, supposedly there's an accent, it's called the Bristol accent, and that's the one that like all the pirates of the Caribbean talked with, it's the only British accent where they pronounce R's the way that Americans do. That really, because we say R's like really hardcore. We R, like British is more like softer. It's like like you don't like do that, make your tongue all hard inside your mouth thing. You let it, or you make your tongue all hard. Sorry, Charlie. Park the car in Harvard Yard. And I think you can hear British accents when you go to Boston because they don't pronounce R's, but yet everywhere else in America they do. And I don't know. Anyway, and my other question is, what do you think of my accent? To me, your accent seems typical garden variety British. I can't really pin what it is, if it is any specific accent, but then again, I'm very ignorant on them, and there's not much that I know about British accents, and I've given you just all that I got. So the other thing that I have for you, this is getting very long, and I apologize about that, but I have a lot to say to you, brother. I made a three, or it's only three on this list, but a list of words that are used in England, but you probably it's probably bad to say them in America just because we won't understand them and we don't use those words the same way you do. The number 3 on this list is the word garden, okay? In Britain, I think garden means what we call like when y'all say like I'm going out in the garden, like you're not talking about like you're going out where your mom like grows tomatoes and peppers and shit and like vegetables and like where there's not really grass. Like you're talking about where there's grass and like nice places to sit and trees and play and stuff. Like what we call a yard is what y'all call a garden, I think. So it's confusing when I hear like British. I once heard Ozzy Osbourne say that he gets drunk at his mansion, and then all his friends come over, and then there's fights in the garden at 3 in the morning. To me, that sounds like he's like standing amongst a bunch of carrots and vegetables and shit, and like a little fenced-in area where there's like shit that you can eat growing in your yard. That's to us what a garden is. All right. Another word you guys use for each other, and look, I get it. All right. But don't over here. It doesn't work the same. It's the word mate. Okay. In England, that means like your boy, your homie, your friend. That's probably the same sex as you. You know what I mean? Here, that doesn't, it means like your girlfriend. Like mating usually is reserved for animals, but if you're talking about your mate, you're talking about like your wifey or your girlfriend or like not your homeboy. Like it, if you call another dude your mate over here, somebody might think that you're homosexual. You feel me, player? All right, and then last of all, there's one word that y'all say, and I understand, I get it. Look, I'm not trying to hate on y'all, but you're not playing football, bro, okay? Football requires shoulder pads and like helmets and pads all over your body because you're running full speed into niggas with like helmets and hard. Y'all play soccer, all right? That's soccer. You invented this sport. You invented the name. I ain't gonna hate on you. In fact, soccer was invented after when so many Vikings attacked England during the Viking Age, that when the Anglo-Saxons could take a village back or a settlement back, one of their ways of punishing the Viking captives was burying them up to their heads in the ground and then kicking their head right off and then just continuing to kick it, and like that turned into so much fun. Entire villages of Anglo-Saxons were just like coming out in droves and like knocking over buildings and fucking shit up to kick these skulls around because they hated the Vikings so much. If you don't believe me, you can just look at a soccer ball. It looks like a skull. There's little black spots. There's mostly white with black spots. It's supposed to look like a skull. That's where it came from. At least that's what I've heard of it. But anyway, and the reason why in America, like we look down our nose so much at soccer, and it number one, these two sports evolved when Britain and America had beef, which we no longer do. But also in America, like we play, like at least in the 20th century, football season, we don't really play that much soccer here. I don't even think it was really played here by and large until like the 70s or something like that. All we did was play our own version of football. So football season happens in fall, and for some reason in America, that's when they coincided soccer to play with that. So all of us big, strong, hefty diesel football players who play, like when you're little, what in America, what you want to play is football, like American football. That's what everybody asks their mom to play. That's what real men, like you're taught that's what a real man does. If your mom says no, you're going to get hurt, because there's a lot of moms that do that. My stupid ass baby's mom's doing that to my son, and I want him to play football, and she wants him to fucking play lacrosse or some pussy ass shit like that. But anyway, football is like if you're the real dogs are on a football team. The guys whose mommies wouldn't let them play football play soccer, and it's happened at the same time, and we have to share fields, and it's just like a hazing thing. Like when we're running by soccer kids, we're like punching them and trying to knock them down. We're calling them faggots and stuff like that. Like we really, it's not cool, I guess, in this modern sensibility day and age, but it's just the way of the world. Like the soccer players are just lower. At least for me growing up, like last thing in the world, I would rather just not play sports at all than play soccer, just because it's so lowly. It's like I get made fun of. People will like make fun of you. Don't get it wrong. There's soccer players all over America, but to like in the eyes of those of us, like you realize living here now for 10 years or whatever you've been here, the number one sport in America is American football, bro. That's what everyone's watching. That's what we live on. And that sets us aside from everyone else. I wish the rest of the world would start playing American football. I find soccer boring as shit, bro. No offense. But anyway, that's another word that in America you should probably use the word soccer, not football. Yeah, I'm sure you've already figured this out. So, I'm sorry it took so long. I had a lot to say to you, and I really like your page, and it's only because of that. I'm not creeping on you. I'm not attracted to you, and I'm not stalking you. I just really dig your page, and I hope you dig mine back. I hope you check mine out. I would love to hear back from you. My name is Richie Romance. I'm the greatest white rapper to ever grip a mic in the world, and I come from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. You are welcome. I live in a boarding house, the YMCA, but you are welcome in mi casa anytime, bro. Anytime you come here. I got mad shows this month. I got a bunch of shows coming up. Bethlehem's like a party town. There's a casino. There's mad bars. There's mad venues for musicians to play, and I bring in a lot of money playing music. So please check out my channel. I'm Richie Romance, World According to Romance. you are lost across the pond. It'd be dope to know your name. It'd be dope to even hear back from you. Holler back at your boy. I'm one of your biggest fans. Peace.